Welcome to the Week 6 edition of Northeast Conference Football Digest. I'm Ralph Ventry, and I'll be taking you around our 19 football league, preparing you for the first week of football in the month of October. With only 3 games on the schedule, Week 6 is actually the lightest of the season in Northeast Conference football. 6 teams are in action, 3 teams have byes. Let's break it all down for you right now. Central Connecticut, Duquesne, and Monmouth are all idle this week. Monmouth will resume play in Week 7 on October 13th as the Hawks will close out their non-conference schedule against Cornell. Monmouth is 1-1 in non-league games already this season. They opened with a close setback at Lehigh and then dismantled URI at home 1 week later. As for Central Connecticut and Duquesne, those 2 teams will come off the bye and face each other. The Blue Devils and Dukes will square off in a Week 7 NEC matchup at Central Connecticut's Arute Field. The Blue Devils will be looking to break into the win column, while Duquesne will be looking to make it 5 wins in a row. Well, those are your 3 teams who aren't playing this week. Now, let's take a look at the 6 teams who will be in action in Week 6. It will be the second week in a row that St. Francis faces a Keystone State rival. Last week, Chris Valerio's Red Flash went into Rooney Field, where they dropped a 3-point decision on a last-minute field goal to rival Duquesne. This week, the Red Flash will be home in the friendly confines of DeGaulle Field, where they'll entertain Robert Morris. Robert Morris, of course, rides high into this Saturday's matchup against St. Francis. The Colonials broke into the win column this past Saturday, winning a big one over Lafayette on homecoming at Joe Walton Stadium. The Patriot League member Lafayette Leopards entered the matchup with a 3-0 record, but left Joe Walton Stadium with their first loss of the season. Robert Morris was able to defeat Lafayette thanks to a strong showing from quarterback Jeff Sinclair and a breakout performance from cornerback Marcellus Branch. Taking care of the football against Robert Morris's playmaking defense will be paramount for St. Francis on Saturday. The Red Flash have been far from turnover prone this season. They have a +3 turnover margin, and St. Francis quarterback John Kelly has been intercepted only 3 times over the season's first 5 games. One of the main reasons why Kelly has been able to protect the football is because his offensive line has protected him. The Red Flash have allowed only 6 sacks this entire season, the fewest in the Northeast Conference. While keeping their quarterback upright, the 5 men up front for St. Francis also paved the way for Keon Wade's 5.8 yards per carry. Wade, the senior tailback, scored all 3 touchdowns in last week's matchup at Duquesne. Sacred Heart's campus field will host a Northeast Conference contest for the 2nd week in a row. Last week, the Pioneers gave their homecoming crowd quite a bit to cheer about as they downed Constitution State rival Central Connecticut. The win was the first in the career of interim head coach Mark Nofri. Nofri, of course, is filling in for the ill Paul Gorham, who is currently on the road to recovery. Keep an eye on who will be under center this Saturday for Sacred Heart. In last week's matchup, starting quarterback Tim Little was unable to go due to a sickness. However, Luke Wisnowski stepped in and performed admirably in Little's absence. Wisnowski completed his first 10 pass attempts of the game and received a lot of help from sophomore tailback Kashadis Spence, who racked up over 120 yards on the ground. On the other side, however, there's no doubt about it. Nick Dosher will be the starting quarterback when Wagner takes the field at Sacred Heart on Saturday. Dosher and his veteran tailback Dominique Williams have been quite the 1-2 punch for the Seahawks as they've turned around their fortunes of late. After losing the season's first 3 games, Wagner has put together back-to-back Northeast Conference victories. Williams has gone over 100 yards rushing in each of those games, and this past week was a big one for Dosher. Looking like his old self, the former Kansas City Royals farmhand totaled 314 yards of offense in Wagner's big win over Bryant. And now it's time to preview the NEC-TV featured game of the week. This week, the NEC-TV cameras will be up in Smithfield, Rhode Island, to catch a glimpse of the Bryant Bulldogs and the defending NEC champion Albany Great Danes. Even if you're not a Bryant or Albany fan, you should still tune in to Saturday's telecast for the sole purpose of seeing Jordan Harris in action. Bryant's preseason All-NEC wide receiver has been playing at a different level of late. In the last 2 games, Harris has made 16 catches for a total of 337 yards. If anybody knows just how good Harris is, it's the Great Danes. They've experienced it firsthand. In Bryant's 31-17 win in Albany last year, Harris set the Bulldogs' single-game receiving record. He caught 10 balls for 224 yards, as Bryant was the only Northeast Conference team to hand Albany a defeat last season. Those watching the NEC-TV featured game of the week will get a glimpse of Albany's high-powered offense. The Great Danes have scored at least 24 points in 18 of their last 20 games. Over that span, they have 15 wins and only 5 losses. Viewers will also get a look at NEC Special Teams Player of the Week, Kevin Chillis. The sophomore receiver scored Albany's first touchdown in its 55-24 win over Monmouth, and he did it on a 77-yard run out of a fake punt formation. Trailing 7-0 in the first quarter of last week's contest, Albany faced a 4th and 10 from its own 23. That's when legendary head coach Bob Ford decided to call a fake punt reverse, which Chillis took to the house. Currently sitting at 259, the big question this week will be if Ford can get victory number 260, or will Bryant trip up the Great Danes for the 2nd year in a row? You can find out by watching live on Fox College Sports Atlantic and ESPN3. And those watching locally can find the broadcast airing live on Cox, Rhode Island, as well as Time Warner 3 in the Albany Capital Region. So there you have it. That's what to expect in Week 6 of Northeast Conference football. While Central Connecticut, Duquesne, and Monmouth sit this one out on their bye weeks, we have 3 hard-hitting, action-packed matchups on the docket. So don't miss out. Get your football fix for week number 6. I'm Ralph Entry with the Northeast Conference Football Digest. We'll see you back here next week, Week 7, here on NECFrontRow.com.